Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Jamal Simon.
I'm DeMarco Randall.
And I'm Antonia Velez.
We are the hosts of Culture Report, a show dedicated to discussing topics impacting marginalized communities and amplifying voices of underrepresented groups.
And today we'd like to share some of the stories that we've worked on and showcase some of the amazing work done by our fellow journalists and storytellers here at 9 News over the past year.
Now, we want to start with one of our favorite people we met this year. Mason Brainstrader suffered a spinal cord injury a little more than 3 years ago, leaving him partially paralyzed. He started posting videos about his experience, learning how to adapt to life as a wheelchair user. Now, the University of Denver student is inspiring thousands of people around the world.
Day in the life of a wheelchair user camping at
KUSA. I think it's so important for people to see that life with a disability can be super exciting. Sharing my story through social media was my mission and my purpose. It all started more than 3 years ago. I was just going for a normal day of downhill skiing, hit my favorite jump, and spun backwards midair. And I woke up in the ICU, and the doctors came in and said, "Mason, you're paralyzed." All right, here we go. People don't realize everything that I have to do just to show up as a normal person. And that's one of my biggest messages. It takes me a lot longer to get ready in the morning. Being able to roll under the sink is super important. Getting dressed, using the bathroom, all of the things that people take for granted just take me so much longer, and I had to figure out how to do them. I got a message from somebody and he was like, "Hey man, like I'm from Argentina and I just used your method of getting upstairs with your spasms." That was a really special moment for me because I was the one that figured out how to do that on my own. At the start of this injury, the hardest part was the unknown, and dealing with such a large unknown and being successful and triumphant. And I still deal with my paralysis and the effects of it, but conquering the unknown is a really powerful thing. And it allows you to then go and say yes to more things and adventure in your life.
The first bilingual newspaper in Denver has covered major events for the past 5 decades. This year, they celebrated one of their own accomplishments, 50 years of publication at La Voz, Colorado. 9 News reporter Angeline McCall explains how the paper got its start and what it aims to provide to the community.
Using their platform, La Voz Colorado has been covering milestone after milestone for 5 decades.
We're very proud of the product that it's become and the place in history.
Pauline Rivera is the current owner and publisher of the first bilingual newspaper here in Denver, started 50 years ago.
Because the more you know about people, their language, their culture, whatever, I mean, it makes for a more peaceful and people that you can work with.
When the paper started in 1974, speaking in Spanish often wasn't taught in Denver schools, or it was frowned upon. So much has changed since then.
Finally, our culture, our language is getting credit for being something good.
This is one that celebrated the independence of Mexico.
Wanda Padilla started the paper with her then husband, Jose.
So we had a slogan, Éramos un eco, ahora somos la voz. We used to be an echo, now we're a voice.
At that time, it was something, Wanda says, the community needed.
Well, I think the bilingual publications they fit a need in the community. You know, for example, in the Chicano community, it helps bring people together and create some cohesion in the community.
50 years later, the newspaper continues what it started so many years ago, being La Voz, the voice for the Hispanic community.
I think if you provide information in the 2 most popular and well-known languages, I think that's a start.
An often overlooked history is on display at History Colorado, and it's all thanks to a woman who's been pushing for more recognition. 9 News investigative reporter Jeremy Hajola gave us a look at an exhibit showcasing a culture that's been divided by a state line.
Beneath blue skies and through the Sangre de Cristo Mountains runs the invisible state line between Colorado and New Mexico.
There's a generation that actually experienced that change of boundaries, the change of power, and it was all about land, this fight for land.
Drawn 156 years ago, the state border divided a Spanish-speaking people whose blended European and indigenous heritage has persisted for more than 400 years along the upper Rio Grande.
And this is a very important part of Colorado history that for many, many years it was overlooked or just ignored.
Lucha Martinez de Luna is the Associate Curator of Hispanic, Latino, and Chicano History at History Colorado. She's worked here for 5 years with the aim of giving more recognition to the shared history and heritage divided by a state line.
When I first came in, we unfortunately had a very small collection, and primarily of the early settlement years, and then it just nothing.
She put together a new exhibit featuring artists and artifacts not only from southern Colorado, but also New Mexico. What to call it was a challenge because of the complexities of identity in the region.
It's their voice.
The exhibit name, De la Tierra, of the land.
When I hear, and I am in San Luis in northern New Mexico, it's all about the land. And I thought it was the best description for this exhibit.
From artifacts like a tortilla rolling pin to vibrant modern retablos, santos, textiles, bronze works, and portraits, the exhibit aims to highlight a part of Hispanic America that cohesively existed before the United States was established.
So what the New Mexicans start doing, the Nuevo Mexicanos start doing, is creating their own art for their religious and spiritual spaces. So that's where we see the emergence of the santos, the bultos, but yet the style is so unique because it's very much influenced by the Puebloans, by the other indigenous communities in terms of their iconography.
Ironically, History Colorado is usually focused on Colorado's past, but here the state line is also invisible. It's history and heritage without borders.
I hope that people walk away from this that are not familiar with Colorado history and say, oh, there's something so much more deep and profound that I wasn't aware of this group of people that are still here today. And that they're not just in northern New Mexico and southern Colorado. They migrated into other parts of Colorado.
De la Tierra will be on display until April 2025.
And coming up, we take a look at the efforts to preserve one of Colorado's most significant historic sites.
And we're stepping into one local business that's been helping teens feel more like their authentic selves.
2024 was a year of great significance for Japanese Americans who have spent decades fighting to preserve Amache, the southeastern Colorado incarceration camp where families were unjustly imprisoned during World War II. Alongside them, also working to preserve that history, has been Grenada High School teacher John Hopper and his students. 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon and photojournalist Manny Sotelo introduce us to Mr. Hopper's history class, who are a big part of why Amache is now a National Historic Site.
It was an atrocity, to say the least, what happened at Amache.
17-year-old Tristan Medina grew up right next to Amache, the site where 7,300 Japanese Americans were unjustly imprisoned during World War II.
We don't learn about it in our history classes.
He had to opt in to a specific class to learn about the suffering that happened here more than 80 years ago.
Teachers don't teach a lot about it. Students don't get a whole lot of it, especially the state of Colorado.
So history teacher John Hopper created the class focused on Amache. Now the Dean of Students, Mr. Hopper is still teaching that class 30 years later.
I'm proud of every one of these students. I gloat over my students.
In his class, students aren't just pupils, but also preservationists.
By preserving Amache, we get to learn about the history of what happened, and by learning the history, we won't repeat these horrible things that have happened in the past.
Junior Reese Block and senior Tori Lynn Riddle,
I think that everyone needs to learn about it,
are some of the latest generation of students to volunteer and maintain the physical site of Amache while raising awareness about its history.
All of this is to make sure that their memories and what happened to them is never forgotten.
They've restored landmarks, renovated the cemetery, even established a museum. What started as a class history project interviewing Amachi survivors
1, 2, 3.
turned into a national historic site.
The exhibits that you'll see, along the roadside, high school students wrote those. And again, I say that with great respect.
National Park Service Superintendent Eric Leonard says that kind of community-born advocacy is what makes national parks special.
They don't just happen, they take sometimes decades of work and community partnerships.
The work Mr. Hopper and his students have done over the years is being recognized by Amachi survivors and their descendants.
But I wanted to thank John as the premier teacher that saw this place and said, this is a physical representation of living history and we need to use it. That's what a good teacher does.
Mr. Hopper's goal has always been to educate to prevent more tragedy.
Could a president with a stroke of a pen put some minorities into a camp again? They can't. We've got to get that changed.
And his students couldn't be more grateful.
I hope to go into constitutional law.
For the impact he's had on their own futures and Amachi's.
Having one survivor, one descendant come up and shake our hand is worth more than any piece of paper, any plaque, any ribbon could ever be.
With photojournalist Manny Sotelo, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
And up next, Jamal takes us even higher than a mile above sea level as we learn about a familiar face on 9 News launching through barriers in the sky. Welcome back. It might surprise some, but not all gender-affirming care requires a visit to the doctor. Our Jaleesa Irizarry took a trip to one Denver salon that's offering a gender-affirming service for free for any teen.
Tucked into downtown Denver sits Above Ground Salon, a safe space that welcomes hugs because they know
scissor cut on the sides.
Sometimes they're cutting a little more than hair.
Being seen in the public externally, how I feel internally, was one of the most pivotal moments for me, for sure.
Ash Bowen started the LGBTQ salon years ago.
The higher the hair, the closer to God, as the drag queens say.
Heather Charlton has been a loyal client. The two both know the struggles of being an LGBTQ kid.
Thinking of myself at that age and remembering how isolated I felt and knowing that these kids don't have to feel that way anymore,
And that's a gift, because not everyone just has that handed to them as a youth. I certainly didn't.
Now kids can. Above Ground is offering free gender-affirming haircuts for anyone under 21.
I mean, there's nothing better than that.
Chris Castañeda is the youth program manager with Rocky Mountain Equality. They know the impact a haircut can have on a teen.
For LGBTQ folks, right, we are told to present a certain way when we feel something differently. Why would I deny somebody an opportunity to feel fabulous and amazing?
I want to create as few barriers as possible, and I think providing these services for free offers them an opportunity to try it out and see if they like it and not feel like they're taking a risk,
Risks are relevant in this salon.
Yeah.
When losing a few locks may gain someone a new life.
I feel better.
Oh yeah, feels amazing.
Awesome.
Above Ground Salon offers these free cuts year-round, but keep in mind it's only for your first gender-affirming haircut.
So, trying something new can be challenging, and when there aren't many examples of people who look like you, trying to do that thing can be even harder. So, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics report, only 3.9% of U.S. pilots are black. So, in this next story, we're learning a little bit more about a man that many of you may know as our trusty 9 News legal analyst, but now Whitney Traylor is working on getting his own wings. I, along with my wingman, photojournalist Tom Cole, want to take you along for the ride.
Ground Cessna 70225 and Alpha 7 Alpha with information. India student pilot solo looking for touch and go.
A man of many hats.
Full-time tenured professor, managing principal of my law firm, 9 News legal analyst.
And perhaps the most important of all,
I had a very active role in my family as the uncle.
Many a role, each one of service.
The professions that I did, it was like nobody called me unless they had an issue.
But over time, it takes a toll.
See, I got to a stage where I had a little bit of a breakdown. It was too much. I went through a deep depression, and I was really in a rut.
For Whitney Traylor, the only way out was up.
One of my goals was then to go for my bliss.
That bliss just so happened to be inside of a Cessna 172, 10,000 feet in the air.
In my circles, I never have heard anybody say, you know, hey, I'm thinking about being a pilot.
Well, he took it upon himself to become the first, starting at square one.
I know how to do that. I know the formula. I know how to get through school, kind of put your head down, do the work, and get it done. Here, this has been a little bit of a challenge because it's not coming as easy as I thought it would.
That's tower. Yep. There you go, switch it over to ground. There you go.
The teacher becoming the student once more, in a class that's well worth the work.
When you get up there, there's so much going on, there's so many moving parts, literally and figuratively, that you can't think about your issues, your problems, you know, the past, the future. You are very present.
There's still much to learn, but he's celebrating the little victories along the way.
That was a real moment of pride.
Whitney's first solo flight, marked with a special shirt-cutting tradition.
Sort of signifying that you're ready to go, you're soloing, you know what you're doing.
Whew. Now he has his eye on his next objective.
I also am really eager to get going, to get my license, but I have to just keep, that's the thing about aviation, you can't rush it.
And as he continues his journey, Whitney has a reminder for everyone with a dream.
A lot of times when we accomplish something, we just get it done and then we're looking for the next thing. And this, I'm able to really kind of stop for a second, take a breath and recognize, wow, I did this.
And after the break, a Colorado artist worked on a new canvas to help highlight Black excellence in a place where it's often overlooked. A Black artist now has her signature on a Colorado Avalanche jersey. Jazz Holmes chose to highlight Black excellence in hockey as part of a New Jersey artist series. In this storyteller's piece, 9 News reporter Janelle Finch and photojournalist Alex Castillo paint a picture of what leading women in Denver are doing.
Searching through obsidian blacks and canary yellows.
So I just have this bright cadmium red.
Artist Jazz Holmes
Going to start to add some color.
Finds the perfect hue to bring her subject to life.
The color is definitely a signature of mine, I would say.
Jazz always knew her career would take her to a canvas.
And I couldn't really think of doing anything else, really, with my life. Like, I've just been drawing forever.
But she never saw her canvas as a jersey.
No. No, this is the first for me.
Not until the Colorado Avalanche asked her to reimagine one of its uniforms for Black History Month. She knew before she put pen to paper, she wanted to highlight a Black athlete.
As soon as you type in his name, it's just like him smiling, like to the point where his eyes are closed. Like you don't really see his eyes at the time because he's always smiling.
The subject she chose gave her limited options.
But when I was asked, I realized I don't know a single hockey player that is Black. That didn't even pop into my head. I can name a couple that are really famous hockey players, but none of them are Black people. And that's a huge issue for me where it makes you feel like you don't really have a connection to that sport when you should, because they exist and they're out there.
One Black NHL Hall of Famer wore burgundy and blue for the Avs between 2014 and 2017.
Ginla slides it across, he scores! Number 600 off the skate of Munson.
Jerome Ginla.
So I see someone who's just really proud of what he does, who's done a lot for the Black community in hockey especially, and just someone who's happy.
Jazz had less than a week to bring each element together.
So I plan on actually gilding parts of this jersey in gold and lightening this red a little bit and then adding black to it. But then making him this colorful centerpiece on the back that just pops out from those colors, because he seems like a colorful personality, and our culture is just so colorful, whether it's about food or music or expression. Like I need to bring that in there.
Fans, I'm now joined with Jazz Holmes.
While I was doing research, I just kept coming across Jerome Ginla, over and over again. And his smile just like lit up the room every single time I saw a photo. And I wanted to paint him on a jersey. And he was my biggest inspiration for this project.
Jazz's completed jersey was displayed in Ball Arena for the last 2 weeks of February, allowing hockey fans to appreciate all the colors in the league's history.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Janelle Finch.
I tried my best.
9 News.
It was so great to see all of the amazing work that these journalists have done. I don't know if y'all know, but like they really work really hard behind the scenes to get that stuff done, and they really care about what they do, and I feel like it shows.
2024 was a great year for 9 News.
Absolutely.
Honestly, and what I love about these different pieces is the different styles in them. Like, I don't feel like one piece is the same from the other.
Absolutely, and the people that are featured in them, just really great stories.
There's still more to do, but if you guys want to check us out, we have plenty of Culture Report episodes on
A lot of content for y'all.
and 9 News Plus if you want to see past episodes. We have so many. We're kind of fun, kind of fresh. And then if you want to check out our other awesome journalists and storytellers, you can check out these stories on the Culture and Diversity tab on our website, 9news.com. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you.